Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and share. Hi, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Let's continue chapter 9, Reproduction and Development, and we're still in subtopic 9.1, Sexual Reproduction in Flowering Plant. So, as you know, for chapter 9 has 4 subtopic. Okay, now we still focus for subtopic 9.1, Sexual Reproduction in Flowering Plant. Okay, let's make a simple revision. Okay, for plant, the life cycle involves alternation of generation. What is mean by alternation of generation? The life cycle will have two generation. The sporophyte generation, which is diploid, and gametophyte generation, which is haploid. So what happened is the sporophyte generation, which is diploid, undergo meiosis to produce haploid spore. Then this haploid spore may undergo mitosis and it will form gametophyte structure. Haploid. Then the gametophyte may undergo mitosis to produce gametes, either sperm or egg. And then the sperm and egg will fertilize and form zygote, which is diploid. And then the zygote may undergo mitosis to produce the new sporophyte. So this is what happened in the life cycle of plant. Alright, so let's take a look. Okay, make a revision. The formation of male and female gamete in flowering plant, which is angiosperm. Okay, let's focus on this first. Alright, for male gamete, it is developed in the anther. So as we know, the reproductive structure of male is called as stamen, which consists of anther and the filament. So in the anther has a structure called microsporangium, also known as pollen sacs. This structure is diploid structure, so it represents sporophyte generation. In the microsporangium consists of microsporocyte. Microsporocyte is diploid cell and also known as microspore mother cell. Microsporocyte may undergo meiosis to produce 4 haploid microspore. Okay, 4 haploid microspore. And each of microspore may undergo mitosis without cytokinesis. What is mean? Only the nucleus will divide, the cytoplasm is not divide. So the structure now is known as male gametophyte, or in other term it's called as pollen grain. So male gametophyte will have 2 cells. Okay, since the nucleus divide into 2, so we have 2 nucleus here, so it represents 2 cells. The first one is called generative cell, and then the second one is called as tube cell. This generative cell later on will undergo mitosis to produce 2 sperm. So this sperm represent male gamete. So settle. Then formation of female gamete is occur within of the ovule in the ovary. Okay. For female reproductive structure, it consists of stigma, style, and ovary. So in the ovary has ovule. Okay. So this ovule, it will consist of megasporangium. So this structure is called as megasporangium. In a megasporangium consists of megasporocyte, which is diploid. Okay, this megasporophyte, also known as megaspore mother cell. Then this megasporocyte may undergo meiosis, okay, to produce 4 haploid megaspore. Okay, 4 haploid megaspore. But then only one will survive. Another 3 will disintegrate. So the surviving megaspore, which is haploid, they may undergo 3 times mitosis without cytokinesis. So the nucleus will divide for the first time from 1 become 2. Second time from 2 become 4. And the third time is from 4 become 8. So this cell, they arrange themselves 3 at the apa kita panggil atas, and then another 3 dekat bawah, and another 2 berada dekat tengah. So the position of these you must remember, and they have their specific name. For the 3 cell yang berada dekat atas, this we call as antipodal cell. At the center is called as polar nuclei. At the bottom, and then the large cell here, this is represent egg cell. And another 2 cell, okay, next to the egg, this is synergid cell. So 3 plus 2 plus 3 total is 8 haploid cell. Okay, so this structure we call as female gametophyte, or in other name we call this as embryo sac. So do the female gamete is being produced? Yes, because the female gamete is actually this egg. Okay. So now, our important thing is to discuss double fertilization in the formation of seed. Okay, so this is the view in the ovary, and this is the embryo sac which develop within the ovule. Okay, this entire structure is called as ovary. In the ovary has ovule, and then in the ovule has embryo sac. Okay, also we call it as female gametophyte. So look at the position. This is called 3 antipodal cell, 2 polar nuclei, 1 egg cell, and 2 synergid cell. So for female gamete is only 1 gamete produced, which is this, the egg cell. Alright, try to recall back. Okay, each of microspore. Okay, this is microspore, which is haploid. Microspore will undergo mitosis. How many times? 1 time. Without cytokinesis. So it will form a structure called pollen grain, or this is equal to male gametophyte, which consists of 2 cells, generative cell and then the tube cell. So as we know, since the pollen grain is being produced, this pollen grain needs to be transferred onto stigma. The process transferring the pollen grain onto stigma, this is called as pollination, which help by the pollinator such as wind, water, animal, any types of pollinator lah. Okay, so the process transferring the pollen grain into stigma, this is called as pollination. So when the pollen grain is landed onto stigma, the pollen grain will absorb moisture. Seberapa banyak moisture, lembapan, air dia akan absorb. So when it absorb the moisture, this pollen grain will germinate. Dari structure dia bulat macam ni, dia akan germinate. How it germinate? Because dia akan absorb moisture. Okay, since it germinate, so the first, this is the tube cell, and then the second cell is the generative cell. Since the pollen grain is germinate, this tube cell will develop into pollen tube. So no more tube cell, because tube cell dia akan extended, dia akan menjadi pollen tube. Okay, see, this pollen tube is derived from the tube cell. And then how about generative cell? Generative cell will undergo mitosis. Generative cell undergo mitosis, and it may form 2 sperm. Dia akan menghasilkan 2 sperm. So these 2 sperm is derived from generative cell. Okay, so we already have the sperm, which is the male gamete. Okay, and then we already have the egg within the ovule of the ovary. So we have the male gamete and we have the female gamete. But then female gamete we just only have one. The egg cell kita hanya ada 1. But for sperm kita ada 2. So memandangkan this sperm has 2 sperm, that's why their fertilization in plant we call as double fertilization. Okay, how this occur? Okay, look at here. Okay, this is the pollen tube, and then pollen tube will undergo the microphyte. Okay, here the bukaan ini, and then what happen is the microphyte, this pollen tube will discharge the 2 sperm. Maksudnya nanti sampai sahaja dekat laluan microphyte, pollen tube memanjang sampai ke arah microphyte, kemudian dia akan dischargekan 2 sperm ini. One sperm will fertilize with egg, and then the second sperm will fertilize with the polar nuclei. Okay, can you see that? Okay, again, this is the 2 sperm. Okay, one sperm, the first sperm will fertilize with the egg cell. Okay, so the second sperm will fertilize with the 2 polar nuclei. So how many fertilization occur here? 2. First, fertilize with the egg. So it will form 2 cells, the structure with 2 cells. So this we call as zygote. 2N. Why 2N? 1 end is from sperm and another 1 end is from the egg cell. Then the second fertilization is between the sperm and the 2 polar nuclei. So each polar nuclei is haploid cell. And then the sperm also haploid cell. So it may form a structure with 3 ends. So this is endosperm structure. Okay. So when the question asks you what is double fertilization? Simple. Double fertilization is a process fertilizing of the haploid sperm with haploid egg to produce diploid zygote, and fertilization between haploid sperm with two polar nuclei to form triploid endosperm. Again, what is double fertilization? Double fertilization is when one sperm, which is haploid, fertilized with egg cell, or which is also haploid, to form the zygote, which is 2N. And then fertilization between one sperm cell, which is haploid, with two polar nuclei, and this is N plus N. So the result is endosperm, which is actually triploid cell. Okay, so that is double fertilization. Okay, so again, this is the explanation of the double fertilization. So here, when the pollination occur, which the pollen grain, which is the male gametophyte, landed onto stigma, pollen grain absorb moisture. Then pollen grain will germinate, which the tube cell will form the pollen tube. Generative cell undergo mitosis to form two sperm. Then the pollen tube will germinate towards the macropyle. It will goes down the style and toward the micropyle. At the micropyle, the two sperm will be discharged. Double fertilization occurs when the first sperm is fertilized with the egg cell to form diploid zygote. Then the second sperm will fertilize with two polar nuclei to form triploid endosperm. Okay. So again the same explanation. So what happened after fertilization? So the ovule, the entire structure of the ovule will develop into seed. Okay. Then the seed will enclosed by seed coat, or we call as testa. Okay. And then the ovary will develop into fruit. Okay. So remember, this is the ovary structure, and then in the ovary has the ovule. Okay. And then in the ovule we have the embryo sac, which double fertilization produce zygote and then produce endosperm. Okay, again. Okay, so here is the ovary, and then here is the ovule. Then this entire structure is embryo sac. Okay, which the double fertilization occur to produce zygote, which is diploid, and endosperm, which is triploid. So as you can see, after fertilization, the structure of the ovule will develop into seed. And then entire structure of the ovary will become a fruit. For example, mudah saja. Contohnya adalah buah mangga. So, semua fleshy area yang kita makan tu, semua bahagian kuning yang sedap, yang manis, itu semua adalah daripada ovari. Dan biji mangga itu, keseluruhan biji mangga itu adalah struktur ovule. Dan di dalam biji mangga itu terdapatnya zygote dan adanya endosperm. Okay. Then formation of seed, as you can see here, bila dah berlakunya fertilization, and then the zygote will form. The zygote then will undergo mitosis to produce structure, okay, which consists of cell yang ada terminal cell and basal cell. So remember, this zygote is actually two-end structure. It then will undergo mitosis to form two cell. The upside cell we call as terminal cell, and then the downside cell kita panggil sebagai basal cell. And then this cell will continue divide, where the terminal cell will form the embryo. Dia yang akan jadi embryo. Maksudnya dia lah akan jadi struktur pokok yang baru. Akar, batang, daun, itu semuanya datang daripada terminal cell. And then the basal cell, dia akan jadi suspenser. Okay, this basal cell, then it will develop to become this structure, suspenser. So function of suspenser, dia lebih kepada untuk provide nutrient. So boleh nampak lah dekat sini. Alright. When the zygote is formed, then the zygote undergo mitosis and develop to form a structure which have the terminal cell. Then this terminal cell will become embryo, the new plant. Okay, the new plant parts. The root, stem, leaf. Then the basal cell, it will develop into structure called suspenser. So this suspenser, the function is to hold the embryo and transfer the nutrient to the embryo. Okay. So this is the embryo. The terminal cell will continue divide until it will form the structure of embryo, the new plant. Okay, the new plant. So this embryo, okay, it will have plumule, radicle, and cotyledon. Okay, plumule is actually the first shoot here, the plumule. Radicle, the first root, this is the radicle. And then the cotyledon. So here is the cotyledon. Right, this is the structure of mature seed between monocot and dicot. Okay, look at this structure. So as I have said, for embryo, it must have three important structure. The plumule. What is plumule? Plumule is the first shoot. Ni, daun pucuk yang pertama ni, ini kita panggil sebagai plumule. And then radicle. Radicle here. This is the radicle. The structure will develop into the first root. And then embryo must have the cotyledon. Since this is the dicot, so this plant have two cotyledon. First, second. Why for monocot plant, there's only one cotyledon. Okay, contohnya mudah sangat. For example, kita makan buah rambutan. So, bila makan buah rambutan, biji rambutan tu sebenarnya kita boleh divide. Kita boleh pecahkan kepada dua bahagian. Okay, sebab dia ada dua cotyledon. Tapi kalau kita makan jagung, okay, biji jagung itu, dia tidak ada belahan dua yang perfect. Sebab dia terdiri daripada satu cotyledon sahaja. Kalau tak percaya, cuba try selepas ni. So here, is the image yang lain pula. So kita boleh nampak kat sini, this seed, okay, this is entire seed, datang daripada mana? Ini adalah ovule. It will enclosed by the seed coat, and then the embryo itself, dia ada epicotyl yang akan tumbuh di bahagian atas tanah. Hypocotyl ini akan berada dekat bawah. Okay, so this is called as plumule, and this also will call as the radicle lah. And then the embryo also have the cotyledon. So for dicot, it has 1 and 2 cotyledon. For monocotyledon seed, only 1 cotyledon. Okay, this cotyledon is actually derived from the endosperm. Okay, so this, okay, this cotyledon, this is the cotyledon and this the endosperm. Okay, the function is to give the, to nourish the embryo. Alright, the same. So that's all for subtopic 9.1, sexual reproduction in flowering plant. Bye. See you in the next video.